Hello. Today's video is about what's been going on since my mother died last April. It'll be done in two parts. I thought I'd share some of the things that have been happening in the hopes that someone watching this may glean some useful information from it. I've also made it into a blog post, which is available at my blog at www.cynthiabaileyrugg.wordpress.com. It's been such a strange time to say the least since my mother's passed. God's been blessing me big time by enabling me to take care of everything that I need to do. I was able to bring my parents' cat home without having to trap her and add to the trauma. She's still learning that this new home is a safe and loving one, but she's doing well. God's also given me the ability to figure out just what my parents would want done with their belongings as well. And He even got me through the horrific day of my mother's burial. As if burying her wasn't hard enough to deal with that day, the cemetery made a huge mistake. Long story short, they had to exhume my father and rebury him in the plot next to where he was before they could bury my mother. On top of that, one of my lovely cousins showed up at the burial, and it was just for the purpose of attacking me. She refused to leave. She was also the one who was the cruelest to me when my father was dying. So that was really not a pleasant day, but I do believe I got through it very well, thanks to God carrying me. In spite of the blessings, though, it's still been pretty hard. The death of a narcissistic parent is just bizarre. Normally, when someone you love dies, you miss them terribly and it's incredibly painful. Of course, this is very hard, but it's at least not very complex. That's not so when it comes to a narcissistic parent. There's sadness, of course, but not necessarily because you miss them. It can be because you miss not having a healthy relationship with your parent, because your parent stole your childhood, or because your parent went to their death without admitting any sort of wrongdoing to you. There's also relief and freedom that you suddenly feel knowing you're finally free from the abuse. It's such a wonderful feeling, at least until the guilt for feeling that way kicks in. Even when you know that your feelings are totally normal, most people still feel some degree of guilt. And there's also cases like mine where your narcissistic parent dies alone because you're no contact. I hadn't spoken with my mother for about 3 years to the day when she died. The theory is my mother died on her birthday, and 3 days later is when the police performed a wellness check and found her dead. I can't describe the guilt I feel for this. I know beyond a doubt that I couldn't have maintained the relationship with her any longer, or my father for that matter. I also know it was for the best for my parents that I wasn't in their lives. That's what finally got my father to turn to God for the first time. I'm not sure that's how it worked with my mother or not, but it probably did. Even knowing these things, there's still guilt. My mother died alone in a dirty house with very little food because she had so little help. Anyone with compassion anyway would feel some guilt over that. Even knowing these things, guilt is powerful. If you end up in a similar situation, just please be forewarned of this. Understand that feeling guilt is extremely normal and it's understandable, but that doesn't mean it's right. There's also the matter of going through my parents' house. I've had to find financial information like bills, bank accounts, investments, that sort of thing. I've also been trying to sort out things and send them to various relatives. Well, it's just stuff. It's also stuff that can bring back memories, good and bad. And being inundated with memories is really tough. It's also strange going through my parents' home. They're no different than other narcissistic parents that kept secrets. I'm discovering some of those secrets, which makes an already challenging task even more challenging. I'm learning a lot more about my parents than I felt prepared to learn. Next week, I'll talk about what I'm learning from this experience. Thank you for watching my video.